Okay, next up, they're saying to put the elevator halves on. You got to find the carbon fiber rods, the mounting plates, which I was saying that plates went on the wing earlier. From a glance, it looked like maybe it had some type of plates that went on the inner side of the wing. That's not the case. These go on the elevator halves to make it where you can attach it to the airplane. And that's what they say for the next step. So here I am getting elevator halves out of the plastic. Now, when you do this, I usually do it with a hobby knife, and you got to be really careful because, of course, you can cut yourself. And it's really easy to damage this stuff when you're getting it out of the plastic. It's wrapped up pretty tight. The plastic's usually taped from every angle. Leave it in the plastic until you're ready for the part. Take a lot of care and attention into keeping things from getting damaged. Now, there's my elevator halves. Okay. Now, it looks like they're telling you to put the short one in the forward hole. Make sure they go. Twist it as you put it in. Get it somewhat centered. Okay. Now the longer one goes in the back hole. Twist it as you put it in. Get it somewhat centered. Okay. Now, they're saying to go ahead and attach these two plates to your elevator halves. And it looks like you'll want the little screw holes pointing down. Okay, now they have little beveled places for these machine screws, so you can tell which way they go. And they say to put a little bit of thread locker because they've got blind nuts in here. So a little bit of thread locker. Remember, with the cheap stuff, it has to be wet. I tend to put a little bit more on it using the cheaper stuff. It works fine. You want to make sure it works. Okay, I look for the right size screwdriver. Make sure my end's the right one. Make sure my beveled holes are in the right position. A good thread locker on my screws, of course. Now, I could have test fitted these on the carbon fiber rods, and I should have. If this wasn't a Great Plains model, I wouldn't be as comfortable not test fitting it. Now these you want to get medium tight. Don't tighten them real hard. You'll strip out your blind nuts. You just want to get it to where those countersunk heads go down in that little form. They don't really need to be very tight. Just a little bit, okay? Go to my other end. A little thread locker on my screws. Now, as I could see with this, there could be even a alignment problem. Now, granted, I don't think I'm going to run into that on this model, but you can, when you tighten these down, look at those little holes that those carbon fiber tubes go into, and try to align them a little bit as you tighten this down. There might be an alignment issue, now more so on cheaper models. So that one does look offset a little bit. We'll see if it's a problem. You don't have to tighten them. You don't have to over tighten them. Tighten them fair. Okay. Now, let's try to put the elevator on the plane. It looks like it slides up on these tubes. You see, you can rotate it from this other side. Like it worked real nice. Now I go ahead and rotate them and push them all the way up. Now on this side, I can rotate them as long as I'm out away from the model a ways. Otherwise I can turn the elevator half to make it easier to go on. Appears to fit pretty well. Okay. Okay, next up they're saying that I need to attach I'm gonna go ahead and tape the canopy down. They normally come taped down, but I popped it off and looked at it. I'm gonna leave it on there, and I'm gonna be flipping it on its side and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a small piece of tape and tape the canopy. This will just keep it from moving. That's actually not big enough piece of tape. A little bigger piece of tape here. Just to hold it in place, that way when I'm moving it around, it won't fall off. Okay. Now they're saying these are 440 by ½ inch socket head cap screws, lock washers, and flat washers. Again, trying to get the exact hardware that you need when you need it. Okay. So they're saying they're ½ inch. It's pretty close to ½ inch. Get my ruler out. A lot more than ½ inch. There they are. Okay, there they are. I'm going to need 4 of them. I need 4 lock washers and 4 flat washers. So make sure I get the right size hardware. Using my butter dish, which is really handy. And using my hemostats. A lot of people use a magnet, which is, I don't think it works as well because it picks up everything. It's harder to get the exact item you want. So I'm getting 440 cap head Allen screws. And I need 4 of them. I'll need 4 lock washers and 4 flat washers. Make sure to get the right size. Stick to our guns. We love who we love and we wanna have fun. Yeah, we cuss on them Mondays and pray on them Sundays. Pass it around and we dream about one day. 'Cause this is how we roll. 4 Allen head cap screws. I got 4 lock washers, I got 4 flat washers. Now, let's see what size Allen wrench these take. Really, honestly, on RC stuff, it jumps back and forth from metric to standards. You'll do good to get you a good set of and both. Let's see, these are standards, they're not metrics. Okay. I like the ball head ones, but you'll find the cheaper ones like, well, Harbor Freight and stuff. Don't buy them, they'll break off on you when you need them the most. Go ahead and get you a decent set of Allen wrenches. Okay, this is going to be a standard size. Fits perfectly, make sure they fit perfectly. Now, they're saying to go ahead and, of course, you put lock washer on first, flat washer on,
the Ozarks best country.
A little bit of Loctite. Again, these go into blind nuts. I don't use a lot of Loctite, I just use a little bit.
For only $32.99. That's a savings of almost $10 off the regular price. Bring your sweetie to Famous Dave's at the Branson Landing and get her sauced.
Ford Truck Month is here. Teaming up with great offers on the toughest.
This is where the ball heads help. These are at an angle.
How about 37? Nothing. That's right. 37 years.
And really take a lot of caution in starting those threads right. You don't want to cross thread these. You want to have a feel for them, that they start right. I want to start it a little hard, but I'm being easy with it. Don't cross thread them. It's a bad deal. Trust me. Again, a ball head Allen. I didn't go ahead and tighten that one up. I'm going to go ahead and put them both in before I tighten them down. Put my lock washer on. Put my flat washer on. A little bit of Loctite, as they do go into a blind nut inside the fuselage, which is metal to metal. Metal to metal needs Loctite.
Just off the bypass in Harrison.
Okay, very careful not to cross thread them. These are really easy to cross thread, and you don't want to try to replace one of those. They're tough to get to. Matter of fact, sometimes on something like this, you're better off to thread them in initially before you put the piece on the airplane. That way it won't pull it to the side or whatever.
Arrowhead Building Supply of Hollister encourages you.
And I may have to do that with this one. Should start.
This weekend. Register for prizes.
Be very careful not to cross thread it.
Greatly enhance the exterior of your home or business. Discover the beauty.
And see, it's wanting to go sideways.
Check out the roofing,
pull it back straight.
doors, decks, and more options that make exteriors exceptional. Building supplies for building dreams. Find out what it's all about at the Arrowhead Building Supply booth at the Home Show at Chateau on the Lake, or stop by our showroom, 181 Hollister Point Drive, Hollister.
Hey moms and dads, are you trying to think of something different and extra special for your kiddo's birthday?
Okay, now I'm going to have to take this one back off. It doesn't line up real good.
Packages are customizable.
Here's what I'm going to do.
Choose from the Splash Country or the Amazing Pets Birthday Party Package.
Go ahead and take my screws back off.
Win the best mom and dad award.
This one I didn't get started, but the front one I did. The threads are actually back a little bit from the hole. Is what that's doing is it's leaning my little bolts over and making them really trying to cross thread. So instead of cross threading them and just trying to stick them in there, I'm going to take them back out, pull this back off, okay, and I'm going to take and I'm going to slot these a little bit to the rear. This can be done real easy with a drill bit. Doesn't really need to be the right size or anything. I get close to the right size. Get my regular drill out. And you can also do that with, you can do this with needle files. Needle files work very good. Now, remember my holes need to be slotted to the rear. So be careful because it's real easy to damage your covering when you're doing that. Now, I slot them just a little bit, and this is very easy to do in this aluminum. So no need to go too far. A little bit of pressure backwards. Very soft aluminum. Not hard to do. Don't overdo it. Slot them to the rear a little bit. Now my back one needed more than my front one. Now I do that just to clean the burrs off, because this side does go against the covering, and the burrs will actually cut the covering. So I clean it a little bit. Okay, that should make it go on without cross-threading the screws. Now that I have that off, I'm going to run these in there and make sure the threads are clear.
On your entire purchase. For more details on Bits for Bargains, go to 1029thez.com and let the savings begin. It's a sweetheart of a deal on 1029thez.
And they are, because I've already checked the front one.
Twice an hour, and the Ozarks' best choice for severe weather coverage. 1029 The Z.
So now with my holes slightly slotted, should go right on there. Now granted, I haven't bolted my bottom piece on, and it would fall off if it wasn't very tight. So I need to pay some attention to not making it fall off in the process of pushing this other one on. Normally I would take that one off while I did this one, but it fits pretty tight and it's staying on pretty good, so there's no need. Now, I put Loctite on my screws again. Yeah, it looks like it might work. See if it'll start now. See if I slotted them enough. Taking my time trying to keep from cross-threading these. I do not want to cross-thread these. That one's still trying to cross thread. So, I need to open that hole up a little more. And as I can see, I need to open it up, look down the hole. Need to open it up to the rear and up. Okay, and my other one needs to go to the rear a little more. I'm not surprised because, like I said, I'm doing it a very small amount at a time. I want to get exactly what I need and no more. Now this one needs to go back and down towards. Aluminum comes out really fast. Doesn't take a lot of work. Just be careful not to damage anything. Okay, now this one needs to go back and down a little bit. Okay, again, The little sharp edges it leaves on here, it didn't that time, but it normally does. Lean over a little bit. Clean those off. Those will cut your covering. Let's see if this fits.
The fat boy himself on the way with his latest. Here's Tyler Farr.
Now this is a little bit of fitting that
West Country 1029.
on cheaper models and a lot of the even more expensive models, there's a lot more fitting to be done. So expect it. Take your time. Don't worry about it. It's normal. Okay, again, put fresh Loctite on it every time you put it in. Don't just assume that little bit that's on it from last time. Look down your holes. My holes look like they line up a lot better now. See if I can get it in without cross-threading. Okay, it's going now. Now see, if I had to force that in, it would have turned that little blind nut in the wood, and I would have had to cut the bolt off and push the blind nut out and put a new one back and back, which is, I've done it. It's very difficult. Very difficult. New Loctite. I think I got my holes lined up now. Should go right in. A lot of times it's hard to hold everything, so I use hemostats, set stuff in the right place. It's a little easier than my fat fingers. Although my fingers, I'm getting accustomed to working with small parts. But at first, when I first started in this hobby, I had a real hard time working with small parts. Because my hands, I've worked with my hands almost all my life. And my hands are, they've been cut up and smashed so many times that they're really fat. And it makes it hard for small parts. Okay, here we go. They threaded in perfectly now. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to tighten them up medium. They don't need to be real tight. Just a medium amount, which on an Allen wrench, you have that little end sticking up at you. That's enough. Just torque them with that and put a fair amount of torque on them. That's tight enough. Okay, now let's turn it over and do the other side. Well, you're not going to be able to see this side. Where we're at, well, maybe I can get over here where you can. Move around a little bit. Okay, actually can. Let's see how these are going to fit. Look down my holes. Okay, they're going to have to be slotted. Now these are going to have to be slotted a little more than the other side. So since I really need to know the position that these need to be slotted in, I'm going to take my Sharpie and I'm going to mark the exact location that a little bit of material needs to be removed on these. And granted, if I loosen my other end up a little bit, it would probably make these not need so much. I'm going to go ahead and slot them out a little. And when I put it back on, if I don't slot them quite enough, sometimes you could push it back a little bit by hand and get by with it. Okay, I'm going to relieve my marks. I made little marks to tell where I need to relieve a little material. Aluminum, easy to remove. Okay, now I'm actually getting a little bit of Sharpie on my surface. Now, I keep a little denatured alcohol to really help with this. Some of that stuff is will just absolutely stain your covering. So be sure and get it off quickly. Otherwise you might have a stain that you'll never get rid of. Yeah. Got most of that one off. It's on the bottom. Should be okay. Okay, let me get got a little bit on my thumb, and that's what was getting on my control surface. And I don't want that on there. So I'm going to clean my thumb off a little bit. Put denatured alcohol. I actually put denatured alcohol in my Windex, and that way when I'm at the field and I'm trying to clean my plane off, it works a lot better than just Windex. Again, I'm slotting my holes to where my screws are going in. Put a little side pressure. Be careful not to damage the control surface or the elevator or whatever. This stuff is very easily damaged. Take off small amounts. You don't want to take off any more than you really need to. Now, a lot of these little edges that I peel up while I'm working with items, like that one, I'll come back later with a trim heat tool and I'll push all those down, because if you don't, later on your fuel residue will break all those ends loose, and you want to go over those as you find them. And while you're building, you're going to find them. Now lately, the reason I'm starting to make some build videos, I build a lot of airplanes. And it's kind of a chore setting up the camera and going over everything as you're building them to make a build video. I built 3 large airplanes in the last 3 weeks, one a week. And I built helicopters, a big one. So the bottom line is, I do a lot of building, and I was looking for build videos on YouTube to see what everybody else was doing. I have a friend, Terry Honeycutt, that does a lot of build videos, and I noticed there really isn't very many build videos on ARFs. There's quite a few build videos on just stick building airplanes, but not very many on ARFs. So in the future, I'm going to start doing build videos on almost every plane. That way there'll be some build videos on YouTube. For people like me that want to see other people's building tricks. Okay. Small amounts. Go ahead and take your burrs off on this other side. Otherwise, they'll cut your covering. Be real careful with a drill that close to monocoat and stuff. You can really tear up some stuff with it. Let's see if that fits.
And getting them looking their best for the auction. For more information, call Kirk Powell at 870-654-2205 or Ron Wallace at 870-654-6369.
When my folks come to town, they come stay with me. I love them so much, but they hardly have a TV. That's why I got Cox Advanced TV, streaming shows on my tablet with the whole family.
Very close. I think they might go. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my lock washer, my flat washer,
Get hundreds of channels and thousands of choices on demand, online, and on your mobile device. Let's create a TV experience just for you, starting at $24.99 a month. Qualifying packages include a 2-year price guarantee and free pro install. Come by any Cox Solution store or visit cox.com/video today. And check out new Contour from Cox at cox.com/contour. Limited time offer. Advertised price includes new residential Cox TV economy. Requires new qualifying.
Go ahead and put a little Loctite.
Early termination fees apply. Advanced TV upgrade required for all advertised features.
Close
Extra
screws.
extra other restrictions apply.
cox.com for details.
And let's see if they work.
Ladies, are you ready to reclaim control? If bladder control problems are keeping you from enjoying life, you are not alone. 1 in 6 adult women suffer from bladder control. Tailored Surgical Arts can help give you the power
Again,
to
taking great care not to cross-thread these. These are easy to cross-thread. You're trying to screw them in from an angle. It's fine thread. And I could have checked and made sure the threads were open on my blind nuts to make sure, like I did on the other side. Okay, that one seems to be going right in fine without cross-threading. Okay, let's see what this one's doing.
Well, I might not say that again, but dinner at Chantilly's for Valentine's Day?
Oh, I love Chantilly's. The food and service is always excellent, and it's so quaint.
Great, I'll call for reservations now.
Do you know the number?
Of course, 365.
Okay, looks like they're both going to go in.
365.
I slotted a very small amount that I needed to make it work. I didn't go any more. If you hug those holes out too much, you're really going to weaken your holding power of these bolts.
Ready to go. Look for special bags throughout the store to identify all the ingredients you'll need for this week's recipe.
These, I haven't tightened them up yet. I run them both down
Just click on the Hudson Supermarket ad and
and then I cinch them up. But again, they don't have to be real tight.
Supermarket makes it easy for busy folks to feed their families.
Just medium, just on an Allen wrench with the small end sticking up at you. Just fairly tight.
At North Arkansas College, we're offering over
It'll be
7
tight enough.
community
You really have to learn
education classes this spring.
how tight to tighten
From
things.
grade writing to photography.
Otherwise you're
Education classes are informal, affordable,
stripping the stuff and tearing it up.
your busy schedule.
Makes a lot of work.
For a list of our community education classes, call us at 870-391-3100 or
Okay.
visit our website at northark.edu/ce. Community education.
There, those are tight. That part's done.
Your college, your way.
We have an elevator.
At Dentures and Dental Services of Harrison, you can't afford a great smile. For over 14
And
years,
again, they went ahead, it looked like, and
the
they've
people of the Ozarks and their fees are
they've
still
glued
the lowest you'll find anywhere.
your hinges for you.
They're still only $39.
I always check them anyway. I've had some that were supposed to be pre-glued, and when I tugged on them, they came loose. So always double check somebody else's work. Don't take anything for granted.
Where you can't afford a great
Okay.
smile. Thomas
I'll be
Johnson,
back in a minute. We'll do something else.
LLC and Associates.
Okay, the next step is they say you need 36-inch extensions for the elevator servos.
If we drove all the way to Dallas just to buy an Easter dress, we'd take along a red McNally, stand in line to pay for a bath. God knows it's shifting gears, ain't what it used to be. I learned to drive that thing.
And you can use a Y harness and hook them together, which means you'd only need one 36-inch extension. I have a nice radio. I prefer, if I'm going to use 2 servos, to run them on each separate channel. So in my case, I'm going to need 2 36-inch extensions. And I like to make my extensions just a hair longer than they call for, as a rule. So there's 1 foot. Okay. There's 2 foot. There's 3 foot, which is 36 inches. Okay. Now, just for good measure, I always go at least 1 inch. I'm going to go a little more than that on these. That gives you a little more room to hook to your receiver or whatever you need to do. Now I cut one and I go ahead and I make my other one the same length. Again, my wire is high-tech wire. It's 20, I believe it's 20 gauge. I get it from Tower Hobbies in 50-foot sections. 50 foot doesn't last me very long, but I build a lot of airplanes. They sell it in smaller sections. I wrap my wire up neat when I'm done with it. Set it aside. Now I'm going to install my ends. I went over this earlier to make my leads. I'm not going to go over it again. I'll come back when I get my leads made. This little drill is an absolute must-have for working on hobbies. Absolutely gotta have it. Or one similar. There's several different brands. I like this one because it's shaped more like a little drill, and it has this little chuck that allows you to chuck and unchuck any of the drill bits and stuff that have this little opening will snap and chuck up. It's really handy. It holds onto your bits and stuff. Okay, here we go again. You notice how that one went in a little bit sideways because I had to drill my head hole tilted a little bit from this stabilizer. That's okay. Your screw will thread in a little sideways. It won't hurt anything. Not really. Okay, I drill one hole, I put one screw in. And I drill a hole on the other side. Put another screw in.
Take the keys on the way. Boy, she's doing well, and I'm glad to see it. Here's Jason Aldean, tattoos on this town. And the rest of the Ozarks.
Then I go ahead and drill my other two holes.
1029, the Z.
I'll thread all 4 screws in. I'm gonna have to thread them in tight. Okay, try to quick 1 drop down each hole. You can go a little more than that, sometimes 2. Be careful, it's real easy to make a mess. Make sure they go down the hole, not out the side on the covering. Okay, I got it. Yeah, I'm just about out on that one. Okay. Now let that dry. I'll be back in a little bit.